Luke wasn't excited when the transfer came. The research station circling the quiet moon of Drellis 4 wasn't exactly thrilling. It was known for slow days, minor reports, and cataloging alien bugs. After 3 missions in high-pressure zones, Luke was hoping for some rest. Maybe this assignment would give him that, as he stepped off the shuttle. The artificial lights of the station blinked overhead. Metal walls hummed with quiet energy. Everything felt too calm, too clean. A greeting came through his cum. "Welcome to Drellis 4, Orbit Station. Report to Command Room 2. Luke walked past a few other officers and aliens. Most ignored him. A couple of engineers gave him polite nods. Nothing out of the ordinary. But then, in Command Room 2, things took a turn. Commander Vorin, a tall insectoid being with many eyes and a strict tone, handed Luke a tablet. "You've been paired with a new specialist. She's a Valari. Be working closely." Luke blinked. "A Valari? Aren't they mostly soldiers?" "Yes," Vorin said. "But this one is cross-trained. Tactical knowledge and xenobiology. Her name is Kelith. She requested to be assigned with a human. Lucky you." Luke tried to ask more, but Vorin was already focused on another report. He found Kelith in the tech bay. She stood over a display screen, examining heat maps of the moon's surface. Tall and strong, her scaly skin had a shimmer of deep green under the light. Her face looked fierce, but not unkind. Her golden eyes moved to him. "You are Luke," she said. It wasn't a question, he nodded. "That's me. I guess we're partners now." Kelith tilted her head slightly. "Yes, they matched us. You were the only human on the list." "Lucky me," Luke said, half joking. She looked at him longer than necessary. Then she said, "I accept the pairing." Luke smiled awkwardly and held out his hand. "Partners." She stared at his hand, then slowly placed her clawed one over it. Her palm was warm. Her fingers curled around his like she was measuring the size. "Partners," she repeated. The next few days were quiet. They worked side by side, reviewing reports from the surface, checking atmospheric shifts, and tracking animal migration on the moon. Kelith was smart, focused, and strong. She barely spoke unless needed. But when she did, her voice was calm, smooth like stone. But then, small things started to feel ... Odd. Kelith stood closer to Luke than most people did. If he moved, she adjusted to stay near. During meals, she always sat across from him, even if others were around. And when they sparred in the gym, she fought like she was testing him, not training him. One evening, Luke came back to his bunk to find something strange on his bed. It was a small necklace made of bone and shiny shells. A note attached to read, "A token of favor." He walked down the hall, found Kelith in the lounge, and held it up. "Was this from you?" She looked up and nodded. "Yes." "You accepted my water during training. That meant something." I didn't know that meant anything." Kelith looked at him without blinking. "It does. In Valari custom, it's the first step." Luke didn't know what to say. "Thank you. It's ... Very nice." The next morning, he brought it to the medbay. Not to report her, just to ask. Dr. Milan, a human medic with a tired face, raised an eyebrow. "Valari customs," she said. "And she's been acting close?" "Yeah, giving gifts, standing close." "And she growled at an engineer yesterday." Milan leaned back in her chair. "Oh boy, what?" "She's probably entering mating season," Milan said. Luke nearly dropped the water bottle he was holding. "What?" "Don't panic," Milan said quickly. "It doesn't mean she do anything bad. Valari don't force themselves on others. It just means ... she's chosen you. And her instincts are awake." "Chosen me? Why me?" Milan shrugged. "Maybe you smell good to her. Maybe you fought well. Maybe she just likes your face. Who knows? It's not dangerous. Just ... out. Be kind. Be clear." Luke returned to his room, feeling like his brain was overheating. He didn't sleep much. The next day, Kelith seemed even more alert. She followed Luke into the lab, even when she had no tasks there. She asked him about his childhood, about Earth, about what kind of family he wanted one day. He answered carefully, trying not to offend her. When they were alone in the observatory, she said something that made him stop. "My time is close," she said, watching the moon below. "I will not hide it. I will not chase. But my body chooses, and my mind agrees." Luke kept his voice calm. "I don't understand Valari ways, but I respect you. I just need time." Keleth turned to him, eyes soft. "I hear you. I will. Not pressure." She stepped back, giving him space. Luke let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. "Thank you, Keleth." That night, as the station lights dimmed for sleep cycle, Luke sat on his bed holding the strange necklace. Of him was confused. Another part was curious. Luke woke up early. The station was quiet, its metal halls filled with soft humming from the engines, but something was off. He couldn't stop thinking about Keleth's words from last night. "My time is close. ... My body chooses." He rubbed his face, trying to focus. He wasn't afraid of Keleth. She hadn't done anything wrong. She had been honest, calm, and respectful. Still, the idea of someone being biologically drawn to him made his mind spin. At breakfast, Keleth was already sitting at their usual table. She nodded at him as he approached, her eyes watching him closely. "You didn't sleep much," she said. Luke sat down with a sigh. "You could tell. Your eyes are heavy. Your shoulders are tense." She placed a small fruit on his tray. "This helps humans relax. I researched it." He blinked at the purple fruit. "You did research? On me?" "On your kind," she corrected. "I want to understand you better." Luke took a bite. "It was sweet, thanks. That's thoughtful." Keleth nodded again and looked pleased. Door. A few other crew members passed by, whispering and stealing glances at their table. Rumors were clearly starting to spread later that day. They were assigned to the surface team. A recent tremor had damaged one of the old observation towers on the moon below. Luke and Keleth were sent to check its stability and retrieve data. As the transport ship descended, Luke sat across from Keleth. The soft rumble of the engines filled the silence. She leaned slightly forward. "Are you still uncomfortable?" she asked. "No," he said truthfully. "I'm just thinking. It's not every day you learn something like this." Keleth tilted her head. "In Valari culture, it is common. But I understand your people are different. Very different," Luke said with a nervous laugh. "But I don't hate this. I just didn't expect it." She looked at him for a long moment. "I am glad." The ship touched down. The air was cold and dry. The outpost was surrounded by large cracked rocks and dust storms rolled in the distance. They walked side by side to the tower, scanning for structural damage. Luke climbed inside. First, everything seemed stable, but the data core was buried under fallen panels. "Give me a hand," Ike moved beside him and lifted one of the panels with ease. Her strength never stopped surprising him. She didn't even strain. "Really are strong," he said. "Strong enough to carry you, if needed," she replied without emotion. Luke chuckled. "I hope it never comes to that." She said nothing, but her mouth twitched slightly, almost a smile. As they worked, a small quake hit. Not strong, but enough to make the tower groan. Luke stumbled. Keleth instantly grabbed his arm, pulling him back before anything fell. "You all right?" she asked, eyes scanning him for injury. "I'm fine," he said, brushing dust off his uniform. "Thanks." They finished recovering the data and headed back toward the shuttle. The sun was setting over the rocky horizon, casting orange light on the gray surface. "Can I ask something?" Luke said, breaking the silence. "Yes. Why did you choose me? Was it really just instinct?" Keleth looked ahead for a long time before answering. "When I first saw you, I noticed your scent, your posture, and the way you held yourself. At first, it was only my body reacting. But then, I watched how you worked, how you spoke with others, how you stayed calm under pressure. My mind agreed with my body. That is rare." Luke felt a strange warmth in his chest. "I don't really know what to say." "You don't have to say anything," she said softly. "I will wait." They rode the shuttle back in silence. Not an awkward one, but quiet and thoughtful. When they arrived, Commander Vorin was waiting. "Keleth, report to Medbay," he said. "Your cycle was flagged. You want to make sure it's stable." Keleth gave a quick nod and walked off. Vorin turned to Luke. "We were going to pair her with someone else, but she made a formal request. Said she would only serve under this assignment with you, and you approved that." Raised his insectoid brows. "We don't interfere with Valari customs unless it becomes a problem." "Has it?" "No," Luke said slowly. "She's been respectful, just intense." "Good. Because when Valari enter the cycle, they become focused, stronger, more loyal. If you can handle the attention, she will protect you better than anyone else on this station." After Vorin left, Luke went to the observation deck. He stared out into space, thinking about everything. This wasn't how he expected this mission to go, not at all. He heard footsteps. Keleth entered, her steps light despite her strong frame. They drew blood. "Confirmed the cycle," she said simply. "Are you all right?" "Yes, it is natural. It will pass in time." Luke looked at her, seeing not just the warrior, but someone who was trying, learning, and holding back when it wasn't easy. "You're doing a good job, Keleth," he said. Her golden eyes softened. "Thank you." He turned back to the stars. "I still need time, but you've been honest and kind." "That is all I can offer," she said. He didn't answer right away. He just stood there, beside her, as the stars passed slowly in the dark sky. The next few days passed quietly, but not without tension. Luke noticed the changes in Keleth more clearly now. Her movements were sharper, her eyes stayed on him longer. She always placed herself between him and anything that looked like a threat, even something as simple as a fast-moving drone. They continued their duties on the station, checking sensors and running surface simulations. But Luke couldn't ignore the way she seemed more alert, like her instincts had turned up too. Maximum. Yet, she never crossed a line. She stayed respectful, as she promised. During one late shift in the control room, Luke glanced over and caught Keleth watching him again. This time, she didn't look away. "You're staring," he said quietly. "I am learning," she replied. "Your expressions, they are strange, but important." Luke shook his head and smiled a little. "I don't even know what to do with that." "You do not need to do anything," she said. "Just exist." He looked at her, really looked. Her body language was calm but ready, like a coiled spring. She wasn't acting out of control, just full of energy, as if her emotions and training were wrestling inside her. "Keleth," he said softly, "what happens if the cycle gets worse?" "Then I will leave the station. Until it ends." "Why?" "Because I will not bring shame or harm. You do not return the bond, and I respect that." Luke felt something heavy inside him. "I never said I didn't return it. I just don't understand it yet." Keleth tilted her head. "Would you like to understand it?" He nodded. "I would." The next day, Keleth invited him to the Valari Habitat Module. It was a private area of the station designed to make Valari crew feel more at home. Warmer lights, strong gravity, and stone-like textures. It smelled different, earthy, like minerals and dry leaves. She handed him a simple stone carving. It was shaped like two hands clasped together. "This is the story of unity," she said. "In our culture, we do not give rings. We give history." Luke turned the carving over.
"Ow!"
"It's beautiful. It means I will stand beside you in all things. I carved this. Slowly. For days. It is yours now." "This is more than just a gift," he said. She nodded. "That is a mark of choice, not instinct." For the first time, Luke didn't feel unsure. He felt honored. "Thank you," he said. "I'll keep it safe." Before either could say more, the station alarm rang. A red light flashed above the doors. Unauthorized signal detected. Surface level. Unknown origin.
Ow.
They both snapped into action. Minutes later, Luke and Keleth joined the response team in the hangar. Commander Vorin stood before them. "We've picked up movement near the old mining ruins," Vorin said. "It's not from our patrol drones, could be scavengers or pirates. We need eyes down there." Keleth and Luke were both assigned to the recon team. They boarded the drop shuttle with two others and flew toward the dusty surface of Drellis 4's moon. The atmosphere was thin, the land cracked and dry. The mining area looked abandoned, but there was fresh disturbance in the sand. Trax.cal crouched low, scanning the area. 3 individuals. Light armor, light boots, plasma burns on nearby rocks. Pirates, Luke asked. Likely, she replied. They moved in carefully, splitting up to cover more ground. Luke stuck close to Kelleth. Every time he stepped, she stepped with him slightly ahead. Like a silent protector, suddenly a shot rang out. Energy burst near them. Luke ducked, rolling behind a metal crate. Kelleth roared not loud, but Fearson fired back with sharp precision. She moved with deadly skill, forcing the attacker into retreat. Another pirate tried flanking them. Luke aimed, took the shot, and hit the enemy's weapon. Sparks flew, and the pirate dropped to the ground, stunned. Well done, Kelleth said, eyes glowing with pride. Double quotes, I learned from the best, Luke answered, heart pounding. But just as they were catching their breath, the ground beneath them cracked. A sinkhole, Luke shouted as the floor gave way. He slipped, falling into darkness. Dust filled the air, and pain exploded in his leg as he hit the rocky bottom. Luke. Kelleth's voice echoed above. I'm okay, he groaned. Just stuck. She jumped down without hesitation. Her large form landed beside him, knees bent, ready for action. She scanned him quickly and saw his injured leg. You cannot walk? Nope, definitely can't. Kelleth didn't speak. She reached down and lifted him gently onto her back. You don't have to carry me, I will, she said, voice low, and I want to. They moved through the underground passage, dust and old mining tools all around. Kelleth's breathing stayed calm, even with Luke's weight on her. He held on to her tightly, not just to stay steady, but because something inside him had changed. He trusted her. More than anyone else, when they finally emerged from a broken tunnel, the rescue team was waiting. Back at the station, Luke's leg was treated, and Kelleth stayed beside him through the entire process. She didn't speak much, just stayed close. Her presence steady and warm. As the medical bots wrapped his leg, Luke looked at her. You saved my life. You would have done the same? She said. He reached into his pocket and pulled out the carved stone she gave him. I want to learn more about your people, he said, and about you. Kelleth's eyes flickered with emotion. Then I will teach you. Luke's leg was healing fast, thanks to advanced medical tech and a small injection of Velaray medicine Kelleth had brought from her own supply. It worked faster than human treatments, and the doctors agreed to let her help. Kelleth stayed close. To him every day? She didn't talk much, but her actions spoke loudly. She made sure he ate, made sure he took his treatments on time, and even read him small HFY stories when he couldn't sleep. Her voice was deep and steady, and the stories were about warriors who faced storms. Not just with weapons, but with heart. Luke listened quietly, and with each story, he began to understand her better. On the 4th day, he stood for the first. Time without support.calith stood behind him, arms crossed. You are healing fast. Because someone wouldn't let me slack off, he said with a smile. She gave him a look that might have been her version of a grin. Good. Lazy warriors die quickly. Luke shook his head. Thanks for the comfort. As he walked out of the medbay, Kelleth stayed by his side. Not just because she was protective, but because it was where she wanted to be. Later that evening, Commander Voran called them both into the command room. We've picked up something, Voran said. Tapping the screen, unknown signals near the northern pole of the moon. Old beacon codes are being activated. We believe someone is digging into pre-war vaults left behind by the Karnak Empire. Luke raised an eyebrow. Those vaults are dangerous, right? It's very. Kelleth said. They're not just storage. Some are traps, some hold weapons, and people still try to open them. Fools always do, she replied. Voran continued. We need a small team to investigate. Others are busy with defense drills. We're sending you too. Luke and Kelleth looked at each other and nodded. A few hours later, they were flying in a scout vessel toward the icy northern zone. The moon's surface there was rough, sharp ridges, frozen lakes, and deep canyons. The vault was hidden under a dome of cracked glass and stone. Long Dash abandoned. Luke stepped out first, scanning the area. No movement, but something feels off. Keleth nodded. The air here is old, angry. You can feel that. Svalari sense emotions in places, echoes of what happened. They moved deeper into the structure. Frost covered the walls. Broken machines and alien bones littered the hallways. Finally, they reached the vault, door massive and sealed with strange symbols. Luke knelt beside the controls. It's been opened recently. Someone bypassed the lock. Just then, a sound echoed behind them, metal scraping against stone. Keleth turned sharply. We're not alone. From the shadows, two figures appeared, both wearing dark armor. And breathing masks? Pirates again, or scavengers? But something about them felt different. To calm, to prepared, you should leave, one of them said, voice sharp. This vault belongs to us now. Keleth stepped forward. Belongs. To no one. And it holds weapons that can destroy more than this moon. The other figure raised his arm. A glowing device pulsed on his wrist. You're too late, he said. The weapon is already waking. Out! Without warning, the device sent out a shockwave. Lights flickered. The ground shook. The vault door behind them started to open slowly, groaning under ancient weight. Luke pulled out his scanner. They've triggered the whole system. It's unlocking everything. Keleth pushed him behind a wall. You protect the code. I'll protect you. She rushed forward, claws flashing, moving faster than Luke had ever seen. She knocked one attacker to the ground with a clean strike. The other tried to shoot, but she twisted aside and broke the weapon with her bare hand. But the device on the wrist of the second attacker glowed brighter, then exploded. The blast sent Keleth flying back, slamming into the vault wall. Keleth! Luke yelled, running to her. She was still conscious, but bleeding. Green blood dripped from her side. I'm fine, she growled. No, you're not. We're getting out of here. But it was too late. The vault door opened completely and something inside began to move. A tall mechanical construct, shaped like a giant armored figure, stepped forward. It glowed with ancient Karnak energy. Its eyes lit up red. Intruders detected, it said in a deep voice. Activate purge. It's a guardian, Luke shouted. They're designed to destroy anyone not coded to their system. He grabbed the emergency beacon from his belt and tossed it to the ground. SOS sent. We need backup. The guardian raised its arm. Gathered Celeste pulled herself up. You must hide. Not without you, Luke said, standing in front of her. Celeste reached forward and touched his shoulder gently. Then we fight. Together, they ducked and rolled behind a console as the guardian fired a beam of energy that burned through the wall. Luke's hands moved fast, trying to hack the control panel. Keleth threw a broken pipe like a spear, striking the guardian in the chest, making it pause. I just need a few seconds. Luke shouted. Celith didn't answer. She leaped again, using her claws to climb the side of the machine. Grabbed her arm, but she twisted and slammed a shock charge into its back. Sparks flew. Done, Luke yelled. I overloaded its core. The guardian stumbled, its energy flickering, then it fell backward, slamming into the floor. Smoke filled the vault. Luke ran to Keleth. She was bruised and bleeding, but alive. That was reckless, he said, helping her up, but effective. She said, breathing hard. As the emergency team arrived, taking them back to the ship, Luke sat beside her in silence. Then he placed the small stone carving she had given him into her hand. I understand more now, he said quietly. I'm not afraid. Keleth held the stone tightly and closed her eyes. The emergency team brought them back to the station just before the second sun rose. Both Luke and Keleth were covered in dust, burns, and bruises. The Guardian had been destroyed, but the threat had changed everything. That vault hadn't just been dangerous, it had been active. The station now faced a bigger problem, while medbots checked them for injuries. Luke sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the burn on his jacket. It had barely missed his chest. His hands were still shaking, sat beside him. Her side was bandaged, her armor cracked. But she held herself upright like nothing had happened. "You're too quiet," she said. "Just thinking," Luke replied. "About the fight?" He nodded. "And about you? How you didn't hesitate? You just jumped in, even after you got hurt?" She looked ahead. "My instincts were strong. My choice was stronger." Luke turned toward her. "What do you mean?" "I would not let the Guardian take you. Not because of my cycle, not because of instinct, because I care." Those 3 words hit harder than any blast. Luke didn't answer right away. Instead, he reached into his pocket and held out something small. The smooth edges of the stone carving she had given him were warm from his touch. "This hasn't left my side since you gave it to me." Keleth's eyes softened. "Then you accept the meaning?" "I don't know what happens next," he said honestly. "But I do know I trust you. I feel something real." Her hand slowly reached over and held his. Her grip was firm yet gentle. They didn't need to say anything more. The next day, Commander Vorin gathered the entire station. Team in the main hall. His expression was tense, all 4 of his insect-like eyes blinking fast. "We have a situation," he said. "After the vault attack, 2 more ancient signals have appeared on the moon. We believe there may be more Guardians or worse, active weapon systems, requesting support from Earth Command and Valari High Command. Until then, we must hold this ground." Many crew members murmured among themselves. Luke glanced at Keleth. She was calm. But her claws tapped the side of her leg, something she did only when thinking deeply. After the meeting, Vorin called Luke and Keleth aside. "You 2 fought the Guardian and survived," he said. "I want you to train the defense units in case we face more." Keleth bowed her head. "We will prepare them." "Good. You'll start tonight." That evening, Luke and Keleth stood in the training room as young officers and soldiers lined up before them. Some were human, others alien. All of them looked nervous. Slowed slowly down the line, her voice clear. "The Guardians are not like normal machines. They adapt. They feel fear only when you surprise them. If you hesitate, you lose." Luke added, "The only reason we're alive is because we worked together. I covered the systems. She covered me. That's how you survive." They ran drills late into the night. Keleth showed them how to aim at the Guardian's weak spots. Luke taught them how to hack into Karnak codes. Together, they were unstoppable. After hours of training, as the room emptied, Luke sat on the bench and wiped sweat from his face. Keleth sat beside him, her tail curled neatly beside her. "You did well," she said. "I could say the same." Looked at her for a long moment, then spoke quietly. "How much time do you have left, Keleth?" Didn't need him to explain. She knew what he meant. "A few days," she replied. "Then the cycle ends." Luke's heart beat a little faster. "And after that? You'll be the same?" "My instincts will quiet. But my feelings will not fade." He nodded slowly. "So what we have, what we're building, it stays, if you want it to?" Reached over and touched her hand. "Again, I do." For a moment, neither of them moved. The soft hum of the station filled the silence. The next morning, alarms blared again. Unauthorized ship approaching. Prepared defense positions. Luke and Keleth rushed to the observation deck. A small cruiser was heading toward the moon. It wasn't one of theirs. Its markings were old Karnak design, barely flying. "Pirates again?" Luke asked. "No," Keleth said, eyes narrowing. "Worse." The ship landed near the second vault site. Scans showed 5 figures leaving the ship, heading straight for the vault. "We'll need a team," Luke said. "No," Keleth replied. "We go now, before they activate anything." Vorin approved their mission. Within minutes, Luke and Keleth were in the scout ship again, flying fast toward the frozen ridge. They landed far enough to stay hidden, then moved through the icy wind, using rocks and shadows to stay out of sight. The intruders were already at the vault. One of them held a strange sphere glowing blue. "That's a Karnak power core," Luke whispered. "If they plug that in, it might wake the vault systems instantly." Keleth growled low. "We strike now." They jumped into action. Luke disabled one of the power drones while Keleth charged forward. She roared as she landed between the intruders, claws out, eyes burning. The group panicked. One tried to run, but Keleth moved like lightning and knocked him flat. Luke tackled another, grabbing the power core and disabling it. "This vault won't open today," he said, breathing hard. The remaining intruders surrendered. As backup arrived, Luke and Keleth stood tall, watching as the threat was removed. On the way back to the ship, Keleth turned to Luke. "You did not hesitate," she said. "Neither did you." They stared at each other for a moment, both breathing heavy from the fight. "When this is over," Luke said, "let's not go back to being just partners." Keleth reached up and touched the small carving hanging from a cord around his neck. "Then we move forward. Together." The new ship moved gently through deep space. Stars glowed outside the windows, distant and quiet. The mission had changed. No longer were they just on patrol or studying rocks. They were explorers now, sent to investigate lost systems and unknown threats. And at the center of it all were Luke and Cage. Inside the small command room, Luke sat by the console, looking at scans of an old planet marked as uninhabitable. But energy signals showed activity. Keleth stood beside him, arms folded, reading the data as well. "This system hasn't been visited in years," Luke said, "which means someone may have used it as a hiding place," Keleth answered. "Or a trap." Luke turned to her. "You? Sure we're ready for this?" Keleth looked at him calmly. "You are beside me. So yes," he smiled, "still not used to how direct you are." "It saves time," she replied. Their ship, Farsong, moved closer to the planet's orbit. The clouds were thick, swirling slowly, and the land below looked cracked and gray. Old signs of battle were still visible, even from space craters. Blackened mountains, shattered cities. "This place saw war," Luke said quietly. Keleth nodded. "Karnak Empire ruled here once? Then they left. Something else stayed behind." They landed near a ruined structure, something that looked half temple, half bunker. The air was breathable with light gear, but cold. Winds blew dust and ash. Across the ground as they stepped outside, Luke checked his scanner. Energy signatures, not natural. Definitely tech. They moved slowly, stepping through broken halls filled with metal debris and fallen statues. Keleth touched one wall, her claws brushing a carved symbol. "This is old Valari writing," she said. "But twisted. Twisted how? Changed. Like someone tried to rewrite history." They moved deeper into the structure, where the energy signal grew stronger. Behind a sealed door, they found a chamber filled with glowing stones and machines, half buried in rubble. There, Keleth pointed. "The device, it's alive." As Luke approached it, the machine blinked to life. A voice, old and broken, echoed through the room. "Recording activated. You have awakened the final gate." Luke stepped back. "That doesn't sound good." Keleth moved in front of him. "Get ready." The floor rumbled. Lights in the ceiling began to flicker. Then, from the far side of the room, a tall figure, rose another guardian, taller than the one they faced before. Its eyes burned orange. "You are not Karnak," it said. "Must be removed." Luke pulled out a device from his belt. "I can try to scramble its signal." Keleth drew her. "Weapon. You try. Keep it busy." The guardian stepped forward, metal claws scraping the ground. It fired a pulse that hit the wall near them, shaking the chamber. Keleth dashed forward, moving fast and silent, dodging blasts and striking the guardian's arm. Luke moved behind. Cover plugging into a control panel. The system was damaged, but he could still access the base layer. Come on," he muttered. Setch was knocked back but rolled and landed on her feet. The guardian raised its other arm to attack. Again. Suddenly, a blast came from above. Luke had triggered the ceiling defense turret. Sparks exploded across the guardian's armor. "Nice shot," Keleth shouted. "Thank the ancient codes," Luke yelled back. The guardian turned to Luke. Keleth jumped, slamming into its head, claws cutting deep. The machine stumbled, losing balance. Luke pressed the final override. The guardian froze. Shutdown sequence initiated, the voice said. Then the lights dimmed. The room fell silent. Slash stood over the Guardian, breathing hard. Green dust clung to her armor. It's done. Luke joined her. You okay? Yes, you. I've had worse. They looked around the room. On a table near the wall, a small crystal glowed softly. Kelleth picked it up and turned it in her hand. This is not a weapon, she said. This is a memory core. They returned to the ship with the crystal, placing it into the data reader. A hologram appeared, a Valari elder speaking in a low voice. To those who find this, we were betrayed, not by outsiders, but by our own leaders. They awakened something they could not control. Do not seek power in the ruins. Seek truth and survive. Kelleth stared at the image. This proves what my people feared. The Empire's fall was not from enemies. It came from within. Luke leaned back in his seat. This is bigger than us, yes, she said, but we are the ones who found it. After a quiet moment, Luke reached out and took her hand. You know, he said, when I first met you, I thought you were going to make my life harder. And now? She asked. Double quotes now, I think I'm exactly where I need to be. Kelleth nodded slowly. Then we continue. They left orbit, sending their report to command. Their next destination appeared on the map-a-distance system with more ruins, more danger, and more secrets. As the ship sailed through space, Luke sat beside Kelleth in the cockpit. Stars stretched out in front of them. He looked at Hearths. Strong, quiet warrior who once chose him not because of rules or duty, but because of something deeper. He squeezed her hand gently. Ready for the next fight? Kelleth looked at him and smiled. Always.